Okay guys, welcome back to another brand new video. I guess as you've seen from the title here, in this video we're going to be learning how to use Linux. So I'll be using Kali Linux for the tutorial for this video. This is one of the lesser known but still very popular versions of Linux. Some people might like to use Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very well known, and there's also some other versions around. But some of the big ones are Ubuntu, Debian, Mint is also pretty big, CentOS is quite large, Red Hat is also very large and out there. But for today's video, I'll be using Kali Linux because out of all of them, Kali is one of my favorites. It's based off Debian and it's quite similar to Ubuntu, and it has all of the penetration testing and stuff like that you would not get with the other things, with the other versions. So this one here is one of my favorites, and it's pretty good, and maybe you guys might get some other use out of it. You can choose to install your own version of Linux if you want, but this is the one that I'll be using today. So let's get started. First, what you're going to need to do is you need to download it, of course. So you can go to their website. We'll just open that up in a new tab, and they just tell you a little bit about it here. So if you watch my Raspberry Pi series, you can actually install this on a Pi. I didn't show you guys how to do that, but it's possible, and that's why a lot of people like it. It's quite lightweight, just like all Linuxes. But let's go ahead. You go to the download sections. So you want to download Kali Linux. In case you're wondering, NetHunter is the version for the phone. Now that's like a custom ROM for your Android phones, which you can install. It's pretty good. My colleague has it and he likes it a lot. So anyways, we'll go and download Kali Linux, and now you need to choose what version you want. So you've got the light versions, and you've got other versions here, but you're going to want to get the full version. So if you have a look, the largest one in size will surely be the full version, and that'll be down here, Kali Linux 64-bit. If you don't have a 64-bit machine, then go for the 32-bit version. My machine is 64-bit, so I'll be using this one. You can download it via HTTP, or you can download it via torrent. That's up to you. You can choose what you want to do. Torrent's a lot faster than HTTP, just so you know. Otherwise, if you're going to be doing this for a virtual machine, you can download pre-built versions of the system. But if you guys are doing this, then you guys aren't really learning how to use Linux properly because it's already pre-built. So I've already downloaded my 64-bit version and I have an ISO. I'll just grab that now. Bear with me one moment. Alright guys, so I'll just bring it over here for you now. It's coming. Alright, here you go. So as you can see, I've got the Kali Linux here, 64-bit version. You can see it should be the full version. It's about 3 gigabytes in size. 2.73. I think this might be a little bit older because I did download it quite a while ago. Let's have a look. 2018.0 or 0.2. Yeah, so they've only revised it by 0.1 of a version, which is fine. This one will still work for the tutorial. We don't need the latest version right now. So after you've got this installed, now I'll be teaching you how to do this for a virtual machine. If you guys want to do this on another machine, I would recommend learning how to do it on a virtual machine first, because if you want to install this on one of your machines that has Windows, you might break your installation if you don't know how to do it properly. So first, I reckon you should try and learn how to do it with a virtual machine, and then you can try and learn how to do it with a physical machine. Otherwise, if you have a physical machine that doesn't have any OS installed on it, or you don't care about losing Windows, then go ahead and do it on your normal machine. Just skip ahead. I'll put a marker here to where I'm going through the installation, and you can go and do that from there. Otherwise, if you're using a virtual machine, let's go ahead and download Oracle VirtualBox, which is a free virtualization software from Oracle. You can go just click on the download section, and I'll have a link to all of the downloads in the description as well. As you can go here, and you're going to want to download the one for Windows host. So platform package is Windows host. Click on that there, and just download and install it. I'm not going to go through the process because I already have mine installed. Just download yours, go through the process, install it. It's pretty straightforward. Just press next for most of it. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Then once it's installed, it should look something like this. Just Don't worry about the ones I have here. These ones here are not important. I'll show you how to make one. So what you want to do is you're going to now open this up as I showed you before. Press new, and now we're going to be calling it Kali Linux. Okay, and the version of Linux, we're going to click here and we're going to go to Debian. So since it's based off Debian, we're going to use that one since it's the closest we've got. They don't have a specific one for Kali. Now, next you're going to want to allocate memory. So, by the way, my view might look different to yours because I clicked expert mode or advanced mode. Just click the same thing down here and it'll look the same as mine. And now what you want to do is you want to allocate memory to your system. So depending on how much RAM your computer has, you don't want to over allocate. So for whatever reason, if you don't know how much RAM your computer has, I would suggest putting 2 gigs in there. Okay, 2048. Otherwise, if you know how much you have, put as much as you'd want to put in there. I would never recommend going over half of your RAM. So I have 32 gigs of RAM in my computer, so I can go up to 16, but even for this, we don't really need that much RAM. 8 gigs is more than enough, so I'll just leave it at 8. If you guys have a 16 gigabyte computer, 18 gigs will do more than enough for you, okay? Then you're going to want to click here and see where it says create a virtual hard disk now. So you're going to click create, and it'll ask you for your size. Now, it's pretty small, you don't need too much, but let's go up to give it about 30 gigs, just so we've got room to play around with. If you don't have this much space, you'll be able to get away with 20. So just make sure you have around about 20 to 30 gigs of space on your disk, and you'll be more than fine. Now we're going to go VDI, which is a VirtualBox disk image. So you can use that, or you can use a VHD, doesn't really matter. Let's go with VDI for this time around. And you're going to click dynamically allocated. So if you don't understand what that means that it will only use 30 gigs if you have used 30 gigs in the virtual machine. So the size of your disk will increase depending on how much data you need to use. Okay, so if you do fixed size, it'll use 30 gigs straight away. But dynamic is a lot better because it will increase it and it will save you space in the long run. You probably won't use all 30 gigs, but it's good to have it there. So now you're going to click create. And as you can see, we've now created the virtual disk. Alright, so now that you've gone ahead and created your disk, you're going to go in and tweak some stuff. So right click on it and click settings. Now this is going to open up. You've already got this set here, fine. We're going to advanced. Now I would recommend you share your clipboard. It's very useful. So just click bidirectional, drag and drop. This sometimes can be very handy, so just turn it on as well. We're not doing anything too dodgy in there, so let's just leave it like that. You don't have to have this. You can if you want. It'll just let you copy and paste between your host and your virtual machine. This isn't got anything to do with the actual functionality of the system. Now, if you go into system here, you want to make sure that you've got this set up like this. For whatever reason, floppy is always at the top. Just leave it. It's fine that we don't have any floppy drives installed. And that's fine. Processor. Now, again here, you guys need to be careful depending on what you've got. I'm going to put 2 because I've got 8 cores on my CPU. So I can use up to 4 happily, but I don't want to use more than 2. So 2 will be more than enough. And you can go into acceleration. Yours might be different depending on the way that your system is set up. Now, when you can go to display, I'm just going to give it all of the video memory because it can have it all. I've got more than enough. Monitor count, we're only going to use 1. Scale factor, we can change that later, so don't worry about that. No need for remote display or video capture, so go now to storage. And in here, you've got your IDE controller. And see how it's got a disk there that says empty? What you need to do is you need to find the live CD, which you've got your Kali Linux installation on. So, your installation disk. So I've got mine in C downloads tutorial. So I'm just going to copy it here. C downloads tutorial. We're going to go here, choose virtual optical disk drive, and I've already got one in here in the download section. So you can just click it like that, or go to the same folder, click it there, and it'll mount the disk into the actual operating system. So that's done. You've got your hard drive here, which is what it's going to be installing onto. So you can just tell it's a solid state drive if you want. If you've got an SSD, if you don't, then don't tick it. Then we go to audio. You don't need to worry about this. Network, just leave it as NAT so that you've got internet access on the virtual machine. Serial ports, don't need to touch that. USB, you don't need to worry about that either. Shared folders, you don't need to worry about that unless you want to. And that's pretty much it. So you can press OK, and that's done. Now we're going to power up the installation. So what it'll do is, since we've got a disk in there, it'll see that the disk is bootable, and it should go past the floppy straight into the disk requesting to boot. So as you can see here, we've got the disk running. Okay guys, so I just was playing around with the settings for a bit, and it was a little bit weird, but for some reason whenever I would click on it, it wouldn't work properly. So I'll show you what I mean now. I'm just booting it up again. So as you can see here, if I press down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, because that's 6 until you get to the graphical install, and it doesn't move. So what I have to do is I actually have to click away from the screen for it to update, which is really weird, right? So I don't know why it did that, but if it did do that for you, just do the same thing, and then once you get down there, just click back and then hit enter, and it should start installing. So as you can see, it's running again now. It was just really weird. I don't know, it must be something wrong with the input, but obviously if you're on physical hardware, you won't have this problem, so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're doing it through virtual machine just like me, then you may come across errors like this. It does happen from time to time. It's hardware being virtualized. It's really weird, but you know, here we go. So we'll just click OK on that, and as you can see, it's just loading up now. So this is what it looks like. If you click on it, you can move your mouse, and now that I'm actually clicking my keyboard, it actually works, which is really weird. So like I said again, I don't know why it did that. That's kind of weird, but anyways, click on whatever you are. So I'm English, you might have a different language. You can do whatever your language is. If you want your time code, just do whatever you are. So United States works for me. American English, that's great. Click continue. So it's detecting everything, and it's just doing a little bit of a setup. Now you don't have to do the graphical install. You can also do the non-graphical install, which is a command line install, but this one is a little bit easier for you if you're still learning. So we'll just go through this, and I might speed it up depending on how long it's taking, because it does look like it is going to take a bit of time. Alright, so now that we're here, you can change the host name. So I'm just going to name it Kali VBox. Alright, you can name it whatever you want. You can name it Test if you really want, whatever you want. So I'm going to name it Kali VBox. We're going to press continue. Okay, maybe not. Let's call it Kali VBox, like that. Would that work? Let's try continue. There we go. That works. You don't need to put a domain name. Let's go continue. And root password, just make it Tor, T-O-O-R. Okay, you can see I wrote Tor, and just type it again, T-O-O-R. So that's root backwards is Tor. You can make it whatever you want. Again, I'm just using Tor to make it easier for you guys. And it'll continue, so it's just setting up some more stuff. And you can choose whatever part you want to do, so it doesn't matter wherever you click, just click anywhere depending on what area you're in, and just go continue. And now you can use guided to use the entire disk, or you can use the entire disk and set up other stuff. This is your partitioning scheme. So if you're using this on a physical hardware and you're trying to drill bit with Windows, you would go manual mode. Otherwise, if you're doing it on a virtual machine like me and you've got the full disk, or if the hardware that you're using, you don't care what happens to the data that's currently on it, you can use guided. So I'm going to use guided for this installation. If I can get my mouse over there. Just bear with me one moment, guys. I'm sorry. Alright, continue. And we're going to have SCSIs. Continue. all files in one partition. Or you can do separate home partition. Nah, you should just put everything in the same partition. It's a lot easier. Continue. And finish partitioning and write changes to disk. So just press continue. So it's going to tell you here what it's doing as well. So it'll have 8 GB for your swap partition, and that's pretty much it. So go continue. Just press yes and then continue. And it's going to partition your disk. So this might take some time. I suggest going and getting a coffee if you're doing it on a large size hard drive. I will just be here and I'll let the video continue recording, and I just won't talk for the next couple minutes or however long it takes. So if you guys are waiting, enjoy, and I'll be speeding up the video now. Alright guys, so now that that's done, we can go ahead to the next section. So a numerator can be used to supplement the software that is included on the CD-ROM. This may also make newer versions of software available. Use a network mirror. Just press yes. And you don't need a proxy unless you've got one. If you do, put it in. If you don't, then don't. Press continue. And it's just doing its thing. So right now it's just downloading stuff and updates, and it's updating the system. So quickly, if you have a look now, you can see that it's installing Grub Bootloader. Now, if you have any other OS installed, Grub will usually let you install this OS alongside it and boot by it if you installed it correctly on a separate partition and didn't break your Windows partition. But that's another story for another time. And it says install the Grub Bootloader to the master boot record. Just press yes if we're using MBR, which it looks like it might be, so just press continue. And looks like we need to make newly installed system bootable by selecting the Grub bootloader on a bootable device. The usual way to do this is to install Grub on the master boot record of your first hard drive. If you prefer, you can install Grub elsewhere on a drive on another drive, or even onto a floppy. So let's just click here because that's the only drive that we have, and press continue if you can get to continue. For some reason the mouse integration on this isn't very good. Hold on, we'll get there, hold on. Alright, here we go, continue. So it's just installing a Grub bootloader. So as it says, installation is complete and it's now time to boot into your new system. Make sure you remove the installation media so that you can boot into the new system rather than restarting the installation. So what you do is you press continue, and it should now finish the installation, and just wait for it to completely finish. Alright, so now it's done and it's rebooting. So what you want to do is, before it actually reboots, okay, it's too late. I can't find my mouse. Give me 1 second. Alright, so I don't know what it's doing. I think it's rebooting on its own now, but let's go import. Oh no, it's actually booting on its own, so it's fine. It's booting to the actual OS rather than the boot media, which is good. We'll just let it keep doing its thing. But yeah, the mouse integration on this isn't great. Alright, whatever. So as before, remember your username is root and your password is Tor if you did it like I told you, or otherwise your password is something else depending on what you put in. Alrighty, there you go. We have successfully downloaded and installed a version of Kali Linux onto our system through a virtual machine. Now, I must admit the virtualization isn't fantastic with the mouse and keyboard at the moment, but that's because we need to install some other stuff to get it running, so you can do that later at another time. But for this video, this is basically how you get it installed and running in its minimalistic form. So if you guys want to see more of this and you want to see other videos on how to actually get it running properly with some better integration, then stay tuned for the new videos coming out, and I'll also be teaching you guys some basic command lines and other stuff like that to actually get you going with Linux. So make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and peace out, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace.